When patience runs out, Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck of Station Harmony, watching the swirling debates below through the transparent aluminum viewing panel. The Galactic Assembly Chamber stretched out beneath her like a vast amphitheater filled with beings from across the known galaxy. Crystalline entities chimed musical arguments, while gas-form beings pulsed different colors to express their opinions. The insectoid Vexhi clicked their mandibles in complex rhythms, and the aquatic Merlians bubbled through their breathing apparatus. Elena had been humanity's chief diplomatic representative for 8 years. 8 long years of watching brilliant solutions die in committee meetings. 8 years of seeing urgent crises become political footballs. 8 years of being treated like humanity was still learning to walk upright. Today's crisis centered on the Zephyrian homeworld. The proud avian species faced extinction from a genetic plague that was killing their eggs before they could hatch. Their population had dropped by 60% in just 2 years. Without intervention, they would be gone within a decade. Dr. Sarah Chen, humanity's lead xenobiologist, stood beside Elena with a datapad clutched in her hands. Her breakthrough research offered hope. Human nanomedicine technology could repair the genetic damage at the cellular level. The treatment was elegant, precise, and ready for immediate deployment. The Zephyrians are dying while they debate the proper shade of committee letterhead, Sarah whispered, her frustration barely contained. Below them, Chancellor Morthak of the Crystalline Collective was speaking. His voice resonated through the chamber like wind chimes in a storm. The proposed human solution requires further study. We cannot rush into unproven treatments that might have unforeseen consequences. Elena's jaw tightened. They had been studying the human proposal for 6 months while Zephyrian children died every day. Ambassador Vexhi Zurkin clicked a response. The humans are impulsive. Their technology advances too quickly for proper safety protocols. We must consider the ethical implications of genetic manipulation. Sarah's knuckles went white around her datapad. Ethical implications? What's ethical about letting a species go extinct while we file paperwork? The debate continued as it had for weeks. The aquatic representatives worried about precedent. The energy beings questioned human motives. The silicon-based life forms suggested alternative approaches that would take years to develop. Elena had heard enough. She activated her communication device and sent a coded message to Admiral Marcus Webb, commander of the human deep space fleet. Begin Phase 1 of Silent Protocol. Authorization, Rodriguez 77 Alpha. The message was simple, but its implications would reshape the galaxy. Admiral Webb received the transmission aboard the flagship UES Determination. His weathered face showed no surprise. They had been preparing for this day since Elena first proposed the silent protocol 2 years ago. He turned to his communications officer. Send the recall order to all human vessels. Military, civilian, research, medical, everyone comes home. No exceptions. Lieutenant Commander Torres looked up from her console. Sir, that includes the hospital ships treating the Zephyrian plague victims. All vessels, Commander. The galaxy has made its position clear. Across known space, human ships began receiving the same message. Captain Lisa Wang was delivering medical supplies to a plague-stricken world in the Outer Rim when her orders arrived. Her crew had been working 18-hour shifts to save alien lives for the past month. Captain, her first officer said quietly, we're ordered to abandon our mission immediately. Lisa looked at the planet below. Millions of beings down there needed help that only humans could provide, but she had her orders. Set course for human space, emergency burn. Similar scenes played out throughout the galaxy. The merchant vessel New Horizon abandoned a lucrative trade route that connected 12 different species. The research ship Discovery left behind a joint archaeological project that had been running for 5 years. Most significantly, the early warning stations that monitored for threats from dark space began shutting down one by one. These stations had been humanity's gift to the galaxy. Using quantum entanglement communication, they could detect approaching dangers weeks before conventional sensors, pirates, natural disasters, and the dreaded void swarm attacks that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. The human early warning network had prevented countless tragedies. Now, those stations went dark. Back at Station Harmony, the assembly continued their debate. Unaware that the galaxy had just fundamentally changed, Elena watched them argue about committee structures and proper procedures, while she dismantled 50 years of human integration with galactic society. Her personal communicator buzzed. A message from her counterpart on Earth, President Michael Carter. Elena, are you certain about this course of action? There's no going back once we implement silent protocol. She typed her response carefully. Mr. President, we've tried everything else: cooperation, compromise, patience, understanding. They see us as useful servants, not partners. Time to show them what the galaxy looks like without servants. First sign that something was wrong came when trade shipments started arriving late. The Vex-High merchant fleets discovered that the lucrative Earth-Centauri trade route had vanished overnight. Human cargo vessels that had been the backbone of interstellar commerce for decades simply weren't there anymore. Morthak of the Crystalline Collective received an urgent message from his homeworld. The human researchers at the Deep Space Observatory have packed up and left. They took all their equipment with them. Our own instruments can't detect approaching stellar phenomena with the same accuracy. Still, most aliens dismissed these early warning signs. Humans had never stayed angry for long. They were emotional creatures who would cool down and return to the negotiating table soon enough. Elena remained on Station Harmony for 3 more days, watching the assembly continue their endless debate about the Zephyrian crisis. When Chancellor Morthak finally called for another committee to study the establishment of a subcommittee to review the human medical proposal, Elena stood up. The chamber fell silent. It was unprecedented for a representative to interrupt proceedings without being recognized. Honored delegates, Elena said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. For 50 years, humanity has participated in this assembly. We have contributed our technology, our medicine, our military protection, and our economic strength to build a peaceful galaxy. Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates. This was highly irregular. We have watched as urgent crises became political opportunities. We have seen lives lost while committees debate the proper format for emergency resolutions. We have offered solutions and been told to wait for proper procedures. Chancellor Morthak chimed in interruption. Ambassador Rodriguez, you are speaking out of turn. Please submit your comments through proper channels. Elena smiled coldly. There won't be any more proper channels, Chancellor. As of this moment, humanity withdraws from all galactic institutions. Our trade agreements are null and void. Our military protection is ended. Our research cooperation is terminated. Our medical assistance programs are closed. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates from dozens of species began speaking at once, creating a cacophony of sounds, lights, and chemical signals. Elena continued speaking over the noise. We are implementing what we call silent protocol. Humanity will no longer participate in galactic affairs. You have made it clear that our contributions are unwanted and our voices unheard. We respect your wishes. She gathered her data pads and walked toward the exit. Her small staff of human diplomats followed her, their faces grim but determined. Ambassador Rodriguez, called Vex-High Zurkan, you cannot simply abandon your responsibilities to the galactic community. Elena stopped and turned back one final time. We have no responsibilities to a community that doesn't consider us equal members. Good luck with your committees. As the human delegation left Station Harmony for the last time, emergency reports were already flooding in from across the galaxy. Human-operated communication relays were shutting down, disrupting interstellar communications. Trade routes that depended on human navigation expertise were becoming dangerous as pirate activity increased. Most critically, the early warning system that had protected countless worlds from void swarm attacks had gone completely dark. The galaxy was about to learn what it had lost. On the bridge of the UES Determination, Admiral Webb watched the last human vessels clear alien space. His tactical display showed the complete withdrawal of human presence from galactic affairs for the first time in 5 decades. Admiral, his science officer reported, we're receiving thousands of distress calls from alien worlds. They're asking, When our ships will return to patrol duty? Webb's expression remained neutral. Refer all inquiries to their respective governments. Humanity is no longer providing services to the galactic community. The silent protocol was now fully active. Humanity had withdrawn into itself, leaving the galaxy to face its challenges alone. The aliens had wanted to handle galactic affairs without human interference. Now, they would get their wish. Elena Rodriguez sat in her private quarters aboard, the transport ship taking her home to Earth. Through her viewport, she could see the last human medical ship departing from Zephyrian space. Below, on the plague-stricken world, millions of beings faced extinction while their government debated whether accepting human help would set a dangerous precedent. She had given the galaxy 8 years of her life, trying to build bridges between humanity and the stars. Now those bridges were burning and she felt no regret. Sometimes the only way to be heard was to become silent. The galaxy would learn to miss humanity's voice soon enough. When the galaxy learns the price of pride. 3 months after humanity's withdrawal, the galaxy was dying. What started as minor inconveniences had cascaded into system-wide failures that threatened the survival of entire civilizations. The Galactic Assembly, once confident that humans would return within days, now faced the reality that they had driven away the one species keeping galactic society functional. Chancellor Morthak stood in his private chambers on the crystal homeworld, reading reports that grew more dire each day. His crystalline form, usually bright with inner light, had dimmed to barely a glow. The elegant chimes that accompanied his species' communication had become discordant with stress. His aide entered with another batch of emergency communications. Chancellor, the Outer Rim colonies are reporting complete communication blackouts. Without the human quantum relay network, they cannot call for help when pirates attack. Morthak's light flickered with what humans would recognize as anxiety. The quantum entanglement communication system had been humanity's gift to the galaxy 20 years ago. It allowed instant communication across vast distances, something no other species had managed to achieve. When the humans withdrew, they had taken their technology with them. Have our scientists made progress replicating their technology? He asked, though he already knew the answer. No, Chancellor. Our researchers estimate it would take 50 years to develop a comparable system, assuming we can solve the quantum stability problems that have stumped us for decades. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening in government buildings, military command centers, and research facilities. The Vex High Confederacy discovered that their vaunted military couldn't project power beyond their home system without human logistics support. The Merlian Empire found their beautiful underwater cities collapsing as the fusion reactors they had purchased from humanity began failing without proper maintenance. But the worst crisis was unfolding in the depths of space, where humanity's early warning network had gone dark. The Void Swarm came without warning. These ancient entities were the galaxy's greatest nightmare, living ships that consumed energy and matter, converting entire worlds into fuel for their reproduction. For 3 centuries they had plagued galactic civilization with sporadic attacks that left star systems empty and lifeless. Humanity had changed that. Their quantum sensor network could detect Void Swarm movement weeks in advance, giving defense forces time to evacuate civilians and prepare coordinated responses. Under human coordination, the galaxy had gone 15 years without a successful Void Swarm attack. Now the sensors were silent and the swarm was feeding. Admiral Zexthul of the Unified Defense Force stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching a real-time feed of the Kepler system's destruction. 3 billion beings had lived on the worlds orbiting that star. Now there was nothing but empty space and growing Void Swarm entities. How many more attacks? He asked his intelligence officer. 17 confirmed system destructions in the past month, Admiral. The swarm seems to be moving in a coordinated pattern, but without the human sensor network, we can't predict their next target. Zexthul's mandibles clicked in frustration. His species, the proud Vex High, had ridiculed human military tactics as crude and overly aggressive. Now he desperately wished for even one human tactical advisor to help coordinate the defense. On the aquatic world of Merlia Prime, depth singer Coralthane faced her own crisis. The genetic plague that had started with the Zephyrians had mutated and spread to other species. Her people, who lived in vast underwater cities, were seeing their children born with fatal deformities. The human nanomedicine that could have stopped the plague in its early stages was no longer available. Dr. Sarah Chen's research, once dismissed as too risky for proper testing, was now the only hope for multiple dying species. Coral Thane had sent 17 formal requests to human space, begging for medical assistance. Each had been returned with the same automated response: please direct all inquiries through proper diplomatic channels. The Terran Federation no longer maintains diplomatic relations with the Galactic Assembly. The diplomatic channels they referenced no longer existed. Humanity had withdrawn from every galactic institution, leaving no formal way to contact them. On Earth, President Michael Carter sat in his office reviewing the flood of communications from alien worlds. His desk was covered with reports from human intelligence services monitoring the galactic collapse. "Mr. President," his chief of staff said, "we're receiving over 10,000 distress calls per day from alien governments. They're offering everything: technology, territory, trade concessions. Some are offering to surrender their sovereignty entirely if we'll just resume medical assistance." Carter looked out his window at the peaceful Earth sky. For the first time in 50 years, humanity wasn't fighting someone else's war or cleaning up someone else's crisis. Human colonies were prospering without the burden of supporting ungrateful alien civilizations. "Any response from the Galactic Assembly itself?" he asked. "Nothing official. Individual delegates are sending personal messages, but the Assembly, as an institution, hasn't acknowledged that we exist." Carter nodded grimly. Pride was the expensive luxury when your civilization was collapsing. The breaking point came when the Void Swarm attacked the crystal homeworld itself. Chancellor Morthak stood in the Planetary Defense Center, watching his species' greatest achievements crumble before entities that consumed matter itself. The beautiful crystal spires that had taken millennia to grow were dissolving into energy that fed the swarm's reproduction. "Evacuation ships are away," his defense coordinator reported, "but we estimate only 30% of the population will escape." Morthak made a decision that would have been unthinkable 3 months earlier. He activated his personal communicator and sent a direct message to Elena Rodriguez on Earth. "Ambassador Rodriguez, this is Chancellor Morthak of the Crystal Collective. My world is dying. My people are dying. I know we treated humanity poorly, and I know you have no reason to help us. But I am begging you to reconsider. We were wrong. We need you." Elena received the message in her office at the Terran Diplomatic Corps headquarters in Geneva. She had watched the galactic situation deteriorate for months, feeling a mixture of vindication and genuine sadness. These beings had been her colleagues, and in some cases, her friends. She crafted her response carefully. "Chancellor Morthak, I sympathize with your situation. However, the Terran Federation no longer provides military assistance to non-allied governments. If the Crystal Collective wishes to discuss alliance terms, you may submit a formal request through our embassy on Centauri Station." The Chancellor's desperate reply came within minutes. "Ambassador, we will accept any terms. Full alliance, technology sharing, equal representation. Anything you require. Please, just help us save what remains of my people." Elena forwarded the message to President Carter with her recommendation. Within hours, the first human warships in 3 months crossed into alien space. The UES Determination dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Crystal System, followed by a task force of humanity's most advanced vessels. Admiral Webb had his crews trained and ready for Void Swarm combat, something they had perfected over decades of protecting ungrateful aliens. "All ships, this is Admiral Webb. Implement Swarm Protocol 7. Target the primary feeding clusters. First, then sweep the system clean." The battle lasted 18 hours. Human warships, equipped with quantum disruptors specifically designed to combat Void Swarm entities, systematically destroyed the ancient threat. When the last swarm entity dissolved into harmless energy, the crystal homeworld was saved, though scarred by the attack. News of humanity's intervention spread across the galaxy within days. The impossible had happened. The Void Swarm had been defeated in direct combat. No species had ever accomplished such a feat without massive casualties. Suddenly, every surviving government wanted to talk to humanity. Elena found herself back, on Station Harmony, but this time as the representative of an equal power rather than a junior partner. The assembly chamber looked smaller somehow, with so many species extinct or reduced to refugee status. Chancellor Morthak approached her before the session began. His crystalline form was still dim from the trauma his world had endured. Ambassador Rodriguez, on behalf of the Crystal Collective, I want to formally apologize for our past treatment of humanity. We let pride blind us to your value as partners. Elena nodded graciously. Chancellor, humanity values the Crystal Collective as friends and allies. Our mutual defense treaty ensures that what happened to your world will never happen again. Other delegates watched this exchange with growing understanding. The galaxy had a new order, and humanity was no longer asking for permission to participate. When the session began, Elena stood to address the assembly. The chamber fell silent immediately, a respect that had never been shown to human representatives before. Honored delegates, humanity returns to galactic affairs as a sovereign power, not as supplicants seeking approval. We offer our friendship and assistance to those who reciprocate, and our protection to those who ally with us. We will no longer subsidize the luxury of your debates while beings die waiting for action. She gestured to a display showing the current galactic situation. The Zephyrians are extinct. 17 star systems have been consumed by the Void Swarm. Billions have died from the plague that spreads unchecked. This is the cost of pride and bureaucracy. The assembly delegates shifted, uncomfortably. The truth was harsh but undeniable. Humanity proposes a new structure for galactic governance, response fleets for immediate crisis intervention, research cooperation with mandatory implementation timelines, trade agreements based on mutual benefit rather than exploitation of human generosity. Chancellor Morthak was the first to speak. The Crystal Collective endorses the human proposal completely. One by one, the surviving species agreed. They had learned the price of treating humanity as servants rather than partners. Elena smiled as she watched the vote. Silent protocol had worked perfectly. Sometimes the most powerful statement was the absence of words. The galaxy would never make the mistake of underestimating humanity again. As the session ended and delegates filed out to begin implementing the new galactic order, Elena received a message from Dr. Sarah Chen. Her nanomedicine research was finally being deployed to stop the plague that continued to spread among the surviving species. Elena, Sarah's message read, "We could have saved them all if they had listened 3 months ago. At least now we can save who's left." Elena typed back, "Sometimes people have to lose everything before they understand what they had. The galaxy won't forget this lesson anytime soon." Through the station's viewports, she could see human ships patrolling the trade routes once again. But this time, they flew as protectors and partners, not as unappreciated servants. The silent protocol had ended, but its message would echo through galactic history forever. Humanity had found its voice by learning when to remain silent.